Thank you so much for the super chat. He who divides by zero. That was awesome. We're in the pre-show right now. We got roughly 5-ish minutes left before everything gets started. We're going to go directly from the pre-show into the actual show. So, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, get your drinks, get your popcorn, get ready. We got about 30 minutes of some really good. Well, we got some Manning. Got what Manning there is to have right now. Better than nothing. Well, thank you so much. You see, when my head moves, little Wolfie's head moves too. Hey, look at the mouth. Ah. It's a camera puppet. Oh my god. It's really kind of cool. I like the wolf too. Welcome to Manic Monday, ladies and gentlemen. This is the pre-show. We'll be getting started in just a few minutes. Howdy, howdy, howdy to all you people coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the pre-show. We're about to get things spun up. We're almost to the 2-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen. Almost to the 2-minute warning. Get your drinks. Get ready. Go starts in 1:40. Hello, Andrew Batts. You've been acknowledged. All of you are acknowledged. Thank you all for coming out. Good turnout so far. Thank you very much for showing up. I do appreciate all you. Minute to go. 1 minute to go.
You don't need to tell your mother what I said. Get back on this screen. Turn your camera on now! Send them out of the room! Send those two girls out of that room! Now! Don't say a word, just send them out of the room. Oh, and go ahead and put yourself on mute now.
That's Mr. Showalter's client. Are you Gabriel Pitts? Wave your hand. You got to wave your hand because everybody's on mute. All right, Mr. Showalter, you ready?
Yes, I am ready.
All right, so we don't have Bostic. She's still in Paris enjoying the good life, but we got our excellent substitute here. So this will be position 7. 24 PI 002-981 Gabriel Pitts, 96 days without indictment. There's a $25,000 good bond as of May 22nd for 1 count of aggravated assault.
8 cycles, 1 conviction from 2015 for violation of Georgia employment security law, and nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Showalter.
Yes, Gabriel Pitts. He is about 38 years old. If released, he'd be living at his mailing address is 201 Washington Street, Atlanta. He lives out of hotels, but they take his mail there at Washington Street. He's been in Atlanta for the past 10 years. He does temp work, warehousing. He has 2 children, a 20-year-old and a 3-year-old. He's got a $25,000 bond on this charge, and I would be asking the court to lower it to $10,000, which might be a bit more within his means. I would also like to add that at the preliminary hearing, there was a lot of information that came out that I argue that shows it was self-defense. Even on the face of the reports and the warrants, you have the complainant trying to stop the police, trying to uncall the police. At the hearing, there was a lot of bloody injuries to my client and a lot of blood in the hotel room from my client, including weapons that the complainant used. So if not self-defense, which my office might be arguing in the future, there was a lot of back and forth. And so I would ask the court to consider that, as well as my client's means, to lower the bond to $10,000.
Where exactly will he be living?
I have a social worker to help with that if he does need help with it. When I spoke with him, he told me that the Washington Street shelter accepts his mail. At the time of the arrest, he was living out of a hotel, and he would likely continue doing so.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Judge, a quick look at the warrants on this case show that the facts are pretty egregious. I understand Mr. Showalter's position about potentially arguing self-defense in the future, but I would just point out that this has gone to a probable cause hearing, and probable cause was found on this aggravated assault. The aggravated assault allegations are violent in nature, and so we would believe that Mr. Pitts remains a danger to the community and a danger to the victim. For that reason, we believe $25,000 is more than appropriate for aggravated assault.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 5021 Old National Highway in College Park. At no further contact with, maybe it's Megan or Megan, Meagan, last name Shell. Must supply an address where you'll be living upon release. And you go to wherever you go be living, sir, you gotta have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment, as long as you let everybody know his place of employment schedule and the exact location you'd be working. Any contact with the victim, Ms. Dorsey Jones?
Yeah, I called multiple times and it says not taking calls at this time.
Okay, so make it a $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Let's see. Are you Anthony? You can leave the booth, sir. Are you Anthony Wilson? Anybody? No, Anthony Wilson still. Mr. Rogalski, you back? All right. So I'll take Lynwood Richardson. All right. This is position 3, 24 PI 003045, 91 days without indictment. $40,000 good bond as of May the 24th on armed robbery and possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. Rah.
6 cycles, 2 FTAs, both in 2023. Currently appears to be on probation for 2 separate cases. Theft by receiving stolen property, possession of tools for the first one, theft by receiving stolen property for the second one. Both sentenced February of 2023. 3 years probation on each case. And nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Rogalski.
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you is Mr. Richardson. He is 26 years of age. His address is 6731 Gano Drive, and that's in Atlanta, Georgia, where he's resided for his entire life, Your Honor. He is currently seeking employment. However, he has obtained his GED, so he should have some good employable skills. He also does have 2 children. Your Honor, he has been in for the past 91 days. Well, I understand that because he has a bond, that is not a, argument to lower that bond, but he has spent a lot of time in custody thus far. Those 91 days with a bond he is unable to afford with no indictment in sight. So we would be asking for that bond to be reduced in aggregate to $20,000.
All right, go, Ms. Jackson.
Sorry, Judge.
That's okay.
It appears that Mr. Richardson, along with 2 other males, went into a gas station and held the clerk at gunpoint so that they could steal alcohol. At the time of his arrest, he did have an active warrant out of another county. It appears from Madam Pretrial's rendition of his criminal history, he just entered a plea to very similar charges in February of this year. And upon release from there, immediately went in and committed an armed robbery and a possession of a firearm. For that reason, the state believes that Mr. Richardson is likely to reoffend, a danger to the community, and a danger to the victims in this case, as they are store clerks who work at a gas station that he knows the location of. Additionally, Mr. Richardson has multiple failures to appears and multiple violations of probations, which indicates that he's a potential flight risk. For that reason, the state would be willing to go to consent to $30,000 on the armed robbery, or will request that the possession of a firearm remain at $5,000.
Ms. Jackson, do you happen to know the co-defendants' names?
I can take a look right now, Judge, while you go through the rest.
Okay. All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from 2111 Campbellton Road Southwest. That's a Chevron gas station. No further contact with the alleged victim, Abera. Last name is Firisa. You have a 24-hour curfew. The only reason you leave your house is court, lawyer, medical. Court and lawyer also includes your probation officer if you're on probation. So, Mr. Rogalski, on Odyssey, it shows he has a Riverdale, Clayton County address. Sir, thumbs up or thumbs down? Are you going to live in Fulton County? All right. You got lucky. All right. So you have that 24-hour curfew. That's the only reason you could absolutely leave your house. That no further contact with your co-defendants.
And Judge, it looks like from the warrant, only Mr. Richardson has been arrested at this time.
Okay. Well, no further contact with the alleged co-defendants if you know who they are. So I got 30,000 and 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. And I got Jacob Taylor. All right, this is position 4, 24 PI 003057. There's a $65,500 good bond as of May the 2nd for possession, manufacture, distribution, sale of marijuana, possession of cocaine with the intent to distribute, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, theft by receiving stolen property, driving expired license, plate, or decal, and driving with suspended or revoked license. Rah.
11 cycles, 2022 possession of cocaine conviction out of Monroe County. It was a 3 year probation sentence on that case. And then appears to have an open case 18 SC 162432. That's for possession of cocaine with intent to distribute, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute, possession of a controlled substance in Schedule 3, 4, or 5 with intent to distribute, possession of meth, and possession of a firearm and commission of a felony, and nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Rogowski.
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you is Mr. Taylor. He is 40 years of age. His address where he would be residing upon release is 1050 Piedmont Avenue Northeast, and that's apartment 36. He'd be residing there with his brother. Your Honor, he's lived in the metro Atlanta area for the past 20 years or so he is a longtime resident of the state now. He also obtained his GED in 2005 and then graduated from Georgia State in 2010 with degrees in English and journalism. Your Honor, Mr. Taylor has 2 children, 13 and 17 years of age, and we would be asking in this case for a bond not to exceed in total $35,000.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Judge, Madam Pretrial's rendition of the summary of Mr. Taylor's history shows that he has multiple priors of the same exact violations that are on our calendar today. Multiple sale of drugs with our multiple possession of drugs with intent to distribute, and multiple convictions for having firearms. For that reason, we do believe that Mr. Taylor is likely to reoffend and remains a danger to the community, as he is often found with large amounts of drugs with items that appear to be with the intent to distribute, and firearms. For that reason, the state would consent to a minor decrease in the bond. As to count 1, we would consent to going from 10,000 to 8,000. As to count 2, we would consent to going from 25,000 to 20,000. As to count 3, the state would consent to an $8,000 bond. As to count 4, the state would consent to a $5,000 bond. As to count 5, the theft by receiving stolen property, which was a stolen firearm, the state would consent to a bond of $8,000. And as to the driving on an expired license or license plate, the state would ask that it remains at $250 each.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons, no driving, absolutely no driving unless a judge signs an order modifying your bond. So even if you go back, pay your fees to get your license reinstated, absolutely no driving. Also, you're going to have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. Court, lawyer, and medical. It's the only reason you could leave your house. So I got 8,000, 20,000, 8,000, 5,000, 8,000. I got $50 and $250 on the suspended license. 8,000, 20,000, 8,000, 5,000, 8,000, $50, and then $250. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Milton. All right, let's see. Anthony Wilson. Wave your hand, courtroom 3. You, Anthony Wilson? All right, outstanding. Position 6, 24, PI 001-554, 94 days without indictment. I'm not sure. Well, he had a UJR through pretrial, but it was surrendered on May the 1st for theft by receiving stolen property, driving with license suspended or revoked, and failure to maintain change lane. Wow.
56 cycles, open cases, 24 SC 002855. That's for theft by taking, driving while license suspended or revoked, and 2 counts of fleeing. The second open case is 19 SC 168533. That is for theft by shoplifting, theft by taking, entering auto. Has a 2018 and 2003 conviction for theft by receiving stolen property, a 2016 and 2001 conviction for entering auto, a 2010 conviction for possession of cocaine, and a false imprisonment and kidnapping conviction from 2008, and nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Dobbs.
Thank you, Judge. If released, Mr. Wilson would reside at the address of record. That's 399 Linden Avenue. That's his mother's address. Mr. Wilson is a lifelong resident of the metro at Atlanta area. Pretty much all of his family lives here. I don't believe I heard at least many FTAs from the pretrial report, if any. I don't think there's any indication that Mr. Wilson is a flight risk. Your Honor is correct. There was a UJR with pretrial services on all 3 charges that Mr. Wilson did receive pretrial alleges that he did not report and has revoked his bond. These are nonviolent charges. I will ask that Your Honor reinstates the UJR with pretrial services. Mr. Wilson has now been in for over 90 days because of the revocation of his bond. And at this point, if he doesn't report again, that's only going to be to his own detriment. But I'm pretty confident at this point, Mr. Wilson understands what he needs to do to report to pretrial. I think 90 days in Rice Street has probably taught him that. But if Your Honor does not want to reinstate the bond, then I would ask for a bond not to exceed $1,000 on each charge. I don't think there's any indication that he is a flight risk. We all know the main purpose of bond is to ensure Mr. Wilson's presence in court. And these are, like I said, these are nonviolent charges. Not as bad charges as we typically see on night court is what I would posit to the court. So I'm going to ask for a reinstatement. If Your Honor does not agree or want to, then I am asking for $1,000 per charge. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Judge, I believe that Madam Pretrial summary of the criminal history speaks for itself. 56 cycles, most of which are similar or relevant to the charges that are on the calendar today. Mr. Wilson has an extreme history of theft, which is exactly what happened in this case. He was caught in a stolen vehicle. I know his attorney said that he doesn't have a history of not appearing. However, the reason that Mr. Wilson has been incarcerated for the last 94 days is based off his failure to appear the last time the court gave him a UJR bond. So the state would not believe that a UJR bond would be appropriate in this case today. For that reason, and because he is likely to reoffend and likely a flight risk, the state would recommend a bond of $10,000 on the theft by receiving stolen property and $500 on the suspended license and $500 on the failure to maintain life.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Sir, no driving unless your bond is modified. Absolutely no driving unless your bond is modified. Stay away from 129 North Avenue and no further contact with Davison, D-I-V-S-O-N, last name A-R-L-E-Y. A-R-L-E-Y. Like I said, absolutely no driving. I got $3,550. $3,000, $500, and $50. Best of luck to you, sir.
May I please be excused, Judge?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Rogalski, did you get in touch to see if we could handle Mr. Young?
So I actually did find his case, and I will just handle the case for Mr. Massachusetts today.
Okay, let's see. 1 second. Let me look at this one thing. Mr. Curry. Mr. Curry, wave your hand. All right. So, Mr. Curry, your case was indicted today. I think there were a few counts that were indicted, so you still stay in no bond status until they can get in front of the judge that it's been assigned to. Okay? Thank you, sir. All right, now we'll go with Mr. Young, Stephen Young, position 5, 24 PI 000157, 92 days without indictment. There's a $2,500 good bond as of April the 17th on burglary in the second degree and theft by shoplifting.
55 cycles, appears to be on probation for robbery and aggravated assault. 21 SC 1783324. That sentence is from November of 22, 4 years probation. Appears to have an open case for burglary in the second degree, 24 PI 002818. Aggravated assault conviction from 2020. A theft by shoplifting conviction from 2018. A possession of cocaine, criminal attempt to commit a felony, crossing state or county guard lines with weapons conviction 2016. Possession of cocaine conviction 2015. Another possession of cocaine conviction in 2015. Aggravated battery, sale of marijuana and willful obstruction conviction in 2007, and then a willful obstruction conviction in 2006, and nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Rogalski.
Yes, Your Honor. Come before you is Mr. Young. He is 37 years of age. His address is 2530 Pinewood Lane, and that's going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, 30344, where his father would reside. Your Honor, he's lived most of his life in Georgia. He also does have 4 children. He made it to the 11th grade in school as well, so I don't see any employment for him here, but he hopefully would be seeking some after. Your Honor, I know he's currently being held on a incredibly low bond here. It's very clear that he cannot make that bond. In a circumstance like this, it's always a difficult bond ask, of course, knowing the amount of cycles, but also knowing the nature of the charges along with, the indigent status here. So we would be requesting at this time for his bond to be reduced not to exceed 1,000 in aggregate, and we would be asking for it to be the burglary in the second at 750 and the theft by shoplifting at 250. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
Judge, Mr. Young is 37 years old, as stated, and has incurred 55 arrest cycles, many of which have become convictions, all of which are, or many of which are very similar to what's on the calendar today. He's already on probation for robbery. He's already got open cases for burglaries. He's got multiple aggravated assaults in his history. The allegations in this warrant alone list a myriad. One might even say a spree of thefts that Mr. Young was going on. And this is all while on probation for robbery and open cases for burglary and aggravated assault. Judge, everything about this case says that Mr. Young is likely to reoffend. Everything about this case says that Mr. Young is a danger to this community. Everything about this case says that Mr. Young is a potential flight risk. Because the defense has filed a motion for reconsideration, the law actually allows for the bond to go up when reconsidered. And I would implore the court to consider raising the bond in this case. $2,500 is not sufficient in this case to ensure that Mr. Young returns to court or that he abides by any of the conditions that this court will impose on him today, as he has not abided by any of the previous conditions by any other court. So for that reason, Judge, we would ask that the theft by shoplifting remain at $2,500 and the burglary in the second go up to $7,500.
All right.
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
since it is the defense's motion, if we may have the last word.
Sure.
Your Honor, these at the moment are still allegations, of course. And so these are things that are being alleged of Mr. Young, but he is not convicted of, he is not guilty of, and he is most certainly, going to contest going forward, as is his right to do so. So we would be asking most certainly not that the bond get raised, and we would be renewing our ask for it to be lowered. Again, I don't believe there is an amount that he can make, just judging by the bond amount. And of course, I did just pick this case up 5 minutes ago. But what this would indicate to me is that he is most certainly not going to be able to afford many amounts of bond here. And again, I would just like to reiterate, he is still legally innocent on these charges. It is not done with. He is not convicted. He still has the right to contest all of these allegations. And so we just wanted to remind the court of that and ask that this bond, one, not get raised, and two, is lowered. So thank you.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no replicas of weapons. Stay away from all CVS and Chevron locations. Stay away from 3030 Headland Drive Southwest, and also the Texaco station at 2995 Headland Drive Southwest. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew, sir. Court, lawyer, and medical. You could leave with employment too. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. But you have to provide that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it $2,500, and I'll do it through the sheriff's 10% program at UJR level 2. So through pretrial level 2. So it's 10% program, Mr. Dukes, and you also got to put a pretrial level on that since it's through the 10%, so make it level 2.
Okay, Judge.
All right. Looks like it was an easy night. Didn't say it loudly. That's why it went so simple tonight. Thank you, folks.
Thank you,
Your
Judge.
Honor. Thank you, ADA Jackson. Have a good night.
Yep, thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for the evening. I am your Lone Wolf Usul. I have been your curator. That is all we have of Manning for this week, at least. I do this every week on Monday for Manning. Next week, if she hasn't done a lot during the course of this week, then I'm going to extend it a little bit. We'll have a little bit more, but I'm paying this forward. Thank you, Biggin, for the raid. I'm sending everybody over to American Courts. American Courts just went live about 25 minutes ago, so he's primed and ready for a bunch of people to come watch some of his curated content. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for showing up this evening. I'm your Lone Wolf Usul. Come by on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be doing a weekend review. and we'll all be hanging out doing this stuff all over again. So, see you next time, guys. Thank you very much for coming out. Peace.